So, parenting is an act or rather a process of raising children, caring for them, helping them become able people, and it involves sharing or you can say establishing a healthy environment for the child to grow. What this means is that you ensure that your child has proper food to eat, the child has access to water, the child is appropriately dressed, the child is getting best education, and the child is in an environment where the child can explore their interest, and also at the same time ensuring that warmth and love is available for the child. So as a parent you would be responsible for keeping children healthy and safe, for preparing your kids for independent adulthood, teaching the values that align with your culture. So we can say that parenting is very important, and why it's important is because it has a very strong influence on child development, and it would even extend further to how child would feel and behave in the future, and also it would determine how the child would parent their own children in the future. So next is parenting a stressor. It's actually a question if anyone wants to answer. Do you think parenting is a stressor? Okay, so I'll answer that. Parenting is definitely a challenging responsibility and it might lead to stress. What stress means is a state of mental or emotional strain which can result from demanding circumstances. And since parenting is also demanding, parental stress may result at any given point in time. Parenting demands a lot from your personal resources, right? We as parents you would be expected to fulfill many roles. You are a spouse, you are a daughter or a son, you are an employee, you are a citizen, and so on. Being a parent is just one out of these many roles that we play, right? So as a parent you have to do so many things. You have to send your children off to school, you have to take care of their homework, you have to ensure that the child is eating well, and you have to be there for the child, you have to ensure that the child is behaving well, and if the child has any kind of developmental issue it just adds on to the stress, and also if there are any kind of financial difficulties that your family is facing, that would also add on to the stress. If the child say has a difficult temperament, that also increases stress. Okay, so we can say that parenting is stressful. And so, a research study has indicated that 68% of female parents and 42% of male parents actually experience parental stress to the level that they're burnt out. Therefore, it is very necessary to address this issue. And since there are many people facing it, we should also be talking about how to deal with parental stress. But coming to why parental stress actually occurs, it can arise when your perception of the demand of parenting is actually greater than your resources. Okay, so what this means is that you may feel like you need more time to deal with your children, but you don't have more time to spare. Or it could be the distress that you experience when you feel that you just can't cope as a parent. The here when you're experiencing stress, that means that the demands being placed on you are too high, you don't have the resources to meet them, and the rewards of parenting are low in comparison to that. And as I said that 68% of female parents and 42% of male parents experience burnout. Burnout is actually a result of extended parental stress. It is a state in which your psychological or even your physical resources have exhausted. And this is also why it is important to address this issue. It's because parental stress or burnout obviously affects the parent, but along with that, it also has consequences for the child. Higher levels of parental stress would lead to lower levels of parental warmth and the love you can offer to your child, and it would also increase your rate of harsh parenting. Okay, for instance, extreme stress in the mother can lead to maternal depression because you don't have the resources and you realize that you don't have the resources, that might lead to maternal depression. Maternal depression would further lead to a variety of negative outcomes. It could be low attachment with the child, and it could also increase behavioral problems in the child, right? So it's not just the parent, it affects the entire family. And this is what it makes us this is something that makes it necessary to identify parental stress and to deal with it. Now coming to the signs of stress, firstly the parent might have escape ideation. They may feel trapped in their role as a parent. What this means is that they want to leave their parent role, they may want to avoid their children on a regular basis. However, this would not be called parental stress if you're occasionally wanting to be alone, if you occasionally want to go be without your child. It could be like if you want to go on a trip with your partner once in a while, or if you want to leave your child with a responsible caregiver once in a while. That would not be parental stress, that is just normal. But always feeling like you don't want to be a parent, that causes parental stress. Then there is increase in addictive behaviors like drinking and smoking. This is another sign. Not here again, not occasional drinking and smoking, but regularly doing that to the extent that you may become addicted. That indicates stress, and this might also be a form of escapism because you are essentially just escaping your role as a parent. You're trying to avoid that responsibility. That then feeling exhausted, being drained all the time is another sign. You do not have the mental or physical capacity to deal with your children or other important aspects of your life. This may result in stress, and if it is extended over a period of time, it might also deplete your resources. Then feeling emotionally detached, a feeling that you're alone, feeling numb about what's going on in your life, not enjoying your child's achievements, not focusing on things that can be made better. All this also indicates parental stress. And emotional detachment would also mean that you don't feel a sense of connection with your own child. But on the other hand, if you're not stressed, and that emotional detachment would not occur. You would, in fact, cherish your time with your child and you would want to take care of your child. Okay. Parental stress may also result in irritability and frustration. Even mildly negative things might start to frustrate you. You're always yelling back, you're responding with anger. Even if your child is coming up with some genuine problem, you may get irritated. In short, you're just looking at your child as more of a liability. You're not really enjoying time with your child. Then stress also leads to sleep problems, which would further lead to difficulty in concentration. It would impact your productivity. It might give you aches and pains in your body because sleep is necessary for proper functioning. It's a basic biological need. And it may also undermine your immune system and it might further deteriorate your health and make you more prone to diseases. Then it might also lead to increase in conflicts because you are unable to communicate your needs and you are frustrated. You're not exactly polite when you're communicating. And why this is happening is because you are completely focused on the stress. You're not really thinking about how you're communicating or whether you are taking care of yourself or not. And this would worsen the situation. It may affect your relationship with the child, with your partner, with in-laws, or anyone that lives with you in your home. And even far away from you, with your friends also, you might have conflicts. Okay, increased conflicts would also take a toll on your mental health. Then feelings of inadequacy. This is probably the most prominent factor. You constantly feel like you're not enough. You can't take care of your child properly, or you want to improve as a parent so much that it ends up doing more harm than good. There's nothing wrong in wanting to be a better parent, but just know that no one can be perfect. It's great to improve, but not at the cost of your own mental health. And lastly, is loss of interest in activities that you once enjoyed. You just cannot find a leisure time activity or an activity that you genuinely enjoy. You do not have a way to relax yourself. You're just shifting from, say, stress of your work to stress of parenting to the stress of managing the household. There's a lack of things that actually make you happy. Now, these are the signs, but what would be the result of parental stress? For the parent, it is exhausting. It may lead to physical health issues such as headaches and muscle tension, fatigue, and even serious problems such as heart and respiratory diseases. And psychologically, it impacts the ability to concentrate. It may lead to irritability, insomnia, anxiety, depressive symptoms, and many more things. And also, the effects of stress or burnout does not just end there. It's not just you, it's also impacting your family as a whole, and it is also having an impact on your child. Okay, for the child, it may lead to feelings of rejection, due to emotional unavailability of the parent, lowered self esteem, as the child is never able to develop a healthy relationship with the parents. Disruptive and aggressive behaviors, which shows disruption from normal developmental path, and social withdrawal due to unhealthy relationships at home. Okay, on the other hand, less distressed parents would tend to be more responsive to their children. They would be more warm and rational. They would be moderate in dealing with their children. Child would therefore develop high self-esteem. They would excel in schools. They would have effective social skills. They're able to achieve a balance between conforming to the parents and gaining autonomy from the parents, which is again a normal part of development. Now, the question is it possible to eliminate parental stress? The answer is probably no, because there are so many stressors that would always be present, irrespective of your situation. There would be some or the other thing that is always stressing you out. Stress is a very, very normal part of life. If it is helping you become better, if it is motivating you, then it's good. And every parent wants to be better. This is motivating you to actually improve. So a little stress is okay, it would act as a motivation. It's called eustress. But when the stress crosses a certain level, it becomes problematic. And this threshold level would be different for everyone depending on their personal resources. But beyond that level, stress would be detrimental. It would harm you in so many ways, and the physical harm is most prominent. Actually, people actually seek help because of these physical effects of stress, not because it's psychologically impacting you, it's making you feel bad emotionally. Usually, people go because of developing certain kinds of diseases that result from stress. So, as I said, that eliminating stress is probably not possible, but it is possible to manage stress. You can't completely eliminate it, but you can manage it, because it is actually important to manage stress. Why? Because burnt out parents would have less patience, they would have lower impulse control, they would be more aggressive, they may listen less, and they are also more likely to insult or to criticize their kids, and they might just yell at their children. And as a result, their kids would end up being more unhappy, they would worry more, they would be hard on themselves. Thus, parental stress management becomes extremely important here. And these are the strategies that can be used. First one is to be realistic. Do not expect yourself to be perfect, because irrespective of how much you try, no one can be perfect. There would always be scope for improvement. There's so much more that you can do. Parents usually do feel that they're unable to provide the best education or the best diet or the best of their quality time, and they end up feeling like they're not good parents, or that their child is suffering because of them, and this instills a sense of guilt in them. But at the same time, parents must realize that perfect is an illusion. You have to be realistic with respect to what you're expecting from yourself. No one can be perfect. Then regulate your emotions. For this, it is necessary to first identify your emotions. For you to be able to manage stress, you need to see how it is manifesting in your body. So, if you're getting too angry at some demand that your child is making, take a step back. Instead of yelling at the moment, try delaying the situation till you're more in control of your emotions. And one thing that you can start right away is to try and identify your emotions and what makes you feel those emotions. What makes you angry? Why are you getting upset? What makes you irritated, or what is making you happy? Right? And then you try to notice how you're reacting to something. Say, for instance, something makes you angry. How are you reacting to that anger? If that response is unhealthy, then you try to work on it. If you are yelling at your kid just because the kid asked for something, then you have to work on it and try to make it more healthy. Then be mindful of interpersonal communication. If we are frustrated, we tend to be more rude. We tend to yell at others. We tend to completely dismiss their opinions. This worsens our relationship with the people involved in that situation. And if this is happening often with your child, it would make the child not want to share things with you. The child may become withdrawn. So, whenever you're communicating with your child, try being mindful of what you're saying and how you're saying. Social support is probably the most researched topic, and researchers strongly indicate that social support is effective in managing stress. So, whenever you're under stress, try reaching out to your family, to your friends, and try telling them what difficulties you're facing. Ask them for help, ask them how they manage similar situations. We naturally tend to do this, but if you're not already doing it, you can try this out. Then time management. Sometimes stress may result from having so many things to do. You have to cook, you have to work, you have to send your children to school. And if your kids are young, then you have to take care of their hygiene. And then this goes on actually. With time management, you can assign time for all these activities. And at the same time, you might also realize that everything every day is just not possible. So you can ask for help. So you can ask your spouse to help you out in something. If your kids are a little older, you might involve your kids in helping you out. You might also realize that you cannot do a certain task every day. So you decide to do that thing 2 or 3 times in a week and not daily. Right? And you also become more mindful of where you're spending time and how you're spending time. Um, by time management, however, I don't mean that you make a very strict timetable. Timetables don't even work for everyone. You might try blocking time, which means you just set out a certain time slot for specific tasks, and that might help you in managing your time better. Lastly, take care of yourself. Make sure you are trying and you're getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Try exercising every day or at least 3 to 4 days a week. You can also block time out for exercising, or you can block time for your hobbies that you really enjoy. For majority of the days, you should try and eat healthy, try being mindful of what you're doing, try being aware of the emotions you're feeling. Take out time, even if it's just a little time, and do things that you actually enjoy. The bottom line here is that you try and prioritize yourself for at least some time during the week. So that was about managing parental stress. Now I'll move on to other resources that are available to help you out in managing stress related to parenting. First one is seeking professional help. You can contact a psychologist if you're being unable to handle that stress that you're undergoing. You can contact a psychologist. Or if you want to develop any specific skill that might help you in managing stress or that might in general improve your interpersonal relationships, you might contact a psychologist, and that professional would provide assistance according to your requirements and would help you manage your stress better. Then you can join support groups. Support groups are where people with similar difficulties would share their opinions and experiences, and you might have some takeaways from that. Support groups for parents would involve parents coming together and talking about their experiences. It could be good experiences, it could be bad experiences, and there are a number of support groups that are already existing there. For instance, there's a group called The Village, which is online. It is for the caregivers. There is also another support group for caregivers, which is called a support group for caregivers only, which is both online and offline. It's in Mumbai. Then there is another support group for pregnant ladies and new mothers, which is called Snugbub Moms Support Community. You can join that as well. And also they are available virtually on Facebook as well, such as Apta Club. And they provide support for parents. You can consider joining that. And also, we are also about to start a support group for parents. The information would be shared shortly, so you can also consider joining that support group. Then developing psychological resources, as I mentioned, that anger management, emotion regulation, all these things would help you manage your stress better, because it might help you in realizing how, say, for instance, emotion regulation. It might help you in recognizing how you're dealing with your emotions at the moment, and it would help you to deal with it in a better way if you're dealing it in a very unhealthy manner. Then daycare centers are also one option that you can consider. It may work if your child is young and you're working, and if you want, if you want a limited amount of time from the day for yourself to handle other works of yourself only, you can consider daycare centers as well. You may look up for ethical daycare centers around your locality. And while selecting daycare centers, it should be kept in mind that the staff there is qualified and that you have access to CCTV cameras while your child is there. But that really depends on your financial condition at the time. If finances are the problem, if spending money on daycare might actually increase your stress, then you can consider Anganwadis which are run by the government. If your child is below 6 years of age, you can send your child to an Anganwadi also. So I am almost done with my presentation. Are there any questions that anyone wants to ask?
Is there any questions, audience? So, thank you, Ishita, for those valuable insights. As we wrap up, remember that managing stress is an ongoing journey and small change can make a big difference. Thank you, all wonderful audience, for being part of today's session. If you found this session helpful, stay tuned for the future webinar addressing the various aspects of well being. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Ishita.
Thank you.